Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going to be looking at something that's always kind of fascinated me. That link between being a celebrity, like a famous actor, and actually winning elections.
Oh, yeah, celebrity politics.
It's been like a thing forever, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But in our world, like with social media and everything, it just seems like it's gotten even more intense.
Oh, for sure. It's everywhere.
So that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Sounds good.
Do those famous faces actually help win elections? Like, can someone really go from the red carpet to, like, the White House based on, star power?
Right.
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy when you say it out loud.
It does sound a bit like a movie plot or something.
Totally.
But, it might not be as far-fetched as it seems.
Oh.
We actually have some research to dig into today that gives us some hard data on this.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So where's this research from?
It's a research highlight from the American Economic Journal. Applied Economics.
Okay, a pretty reputable source.
Yeah, definitely.
So what did they actually find out? Like, give us the goods.
Well, this economist, He-Yu Zhang, decided to look way back and focus specifically on, well, I guess you could call him the OG actor-turned-politician.
Oh, let me guess. Ronald Reagan.
You got it. The Gipper himself.
It's just like the most classic example, right? Hollywood star to the leader of the free world.
It really is.
So what was this Xi'an guy looking for?
Well, he wanted to see if Reagan's fame from his acting career, especially, his time as the host of that show General Electric Theater, if that actually had any measurable impact on his success in politics, both as governor of California and then, of course, president.
See, that's what I find so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you separate the man from the myth, like the politician, from the persona?
That's exactly what Xi'an was trying to figure out, and he had a pretty clever way of doing it.
Okay, I'm all ears. How'd he do it?
Well, he looked at the variation in CBS signal strength across counties in the U.S. during those years when General Electric Theater was on the air.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, the thinking being that areas with a stronger CBS signal would have had way more exposure to the show.
And to Reagan himself.
Exactly.
So more Reagan on TV equals more votes for Reagan in the ballot box? Is that what he was testing?
Basically, yeah.
And
well, he found some pretty compelling stuff.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Okay, so in the 1976 Republican primary, areas with those stronger CBS signals, they actually showed a noticeable increase in support for Reagan.
Noticeable? How much are we talking?
Like a solid 2.18 percentage points added to his vote share.
Wow. That's not insignificant.
Not at all.
So you're telling me just by being like a familiar face on a TV show, a non-political one at that, Reagan might have gotten a real leg up in the election?
That seems to be the case. It really makes you think about what influences voters, right?
It totally does. But wait, there's more, right? You said this study looked at how voters explained their support for Reagan.
Oh, yeah. That's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
So, in those same areas, the ones with the strong CBS signals, voters were much more likely to say they supported Reagan because of, well, his personality.
You mean like his charm, his likability, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Not necessarily because they agreed with him on, specific political stances.
So it wasn't about policy. It was about, like, a feeling.
It seems that way. It was like General Electric Theater didn't just entertain people, it built Reagan's personal brand.
Separate from his political platform.
Exactly. And then that name recognition, that brand, it translated into votes.
This is blowing my mind. It makes you think about all those actors and, like, reality TV stars who've gone into politics.
Doesn't it?
Could their fame actually be their biggest asset?
Well, this research definitely suggests that being a celebrity in entertainment can have a real impact.
A measurable impact.
Absolutely. It might even be influencing voters to choose personality over policy.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. But before we jump to conclusions, I think we should dig a little deeper into what all this means, especially today.
Agreed. There's a lot more to explore here, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
It's like we're voting for, like, a character on a TV show, not a politician with actual policies and experience,
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And it does raise some concerns about celebrity politics, right?
Big time. Like, just because someone's super charming on screen doesn't mean they can run a country.
Exactly. Being a good actor doesn't necessarily translate to being a good leader. There's a lot more to it than that.
Totally. And what about the whole misinformation thing? It seems like celebrities can really spread stuff, whether they mean to or not.
Oh, absolutely. Their platforms are huge, so even a small mistake can have a big impact.
It makes you wonder if all this celebrity influence is actually, like, hurting democracy.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And honestly, it gets even more complicated when you factor in social media.
True. Back in Reagan's day, there were only a few channels on TV, right?
Right, and scheduled programming.
But now, celebrities have constant access to their fans.
They can shape the narrative in ways that, like, weren't even possible before.
It's like everyone has their own broadcasting station these days. And the lines between entertainment, news, and politics are just, like, gone.
They're blurred, yeah.
So, this brings us back to Trump, right? His win in 2016, he was a household name from The Apprentice long before he even thought about running for office.
It's true.
Do you think that familiarity played a role in his appeal, like with voters?
I think it's definitely possible. While this study didn't specifically look at Trump, what we do know is that voters can be swayed by, well, a candidate's persona.
And their perceived authenticity.
Right. And those are qualities that are often, like, cultivated on TV, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And Trump's whole persona, like the successful businessman, the straight-talking outsider, that was years in the making on reality TV.
Exactly. And it resonated with a lot of people, especially those who are feeling disillusioned with politics as usual.
So basically, his celebrity status kind of let him skip the usual vetting process.
You could say that voters might have felt like they already knew him, even if that knowledge wasn't based on, you know, his actual political record.
That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
So should we be worried? Like, is it bad to have people with entertainment backgrounds going into politics?
Well, I don't think it's about excluding anyone from the process. It's more about being aware of the potential downside.
And being critical, right?
Yeah. We can't just vote for someone because we recognize them from TV.
How do we make sure we're not just falling for, like, the most entertaining personality?
I think it starts with recognizing that celebrity influence is a real thing. It has both positive and negative sides.
Okay, but how do we, like, actually do that?
Well, we need to be more thoughtful about the information we consume.
And where it's coming from.
Exactly. Don't just take things at face value, especially if it's from someone famous. Do your own research, fact check, be willing to challenge your own assumptions.
So basically, be more media literate.
Yes. It's about taking back control, not letting ourselves be manipulated by, like, marketing or PR.
I like that. Taking back control.
It's a super important skill these days, especially with all the, you know, online quizzes and stuff.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh, you know, those things that ask you all these seemingly harmless questions.
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere.
But they're collecting data about you. And that data can be used to target you with ads or content, shape your preferences, and even influence your choices.
That's kind of creepy when you put it like that.
Yeah, it definitely raises some ethical questions. But the point is, we're not powerless. We can learn about these tactics and be more aware.
We can choose what we see and who we follow.
Right. And engage in conversations that challenge our viewpoints.
So it's all about making informed choices.
Yeah, exactly.
This deep dive has seriously made me rethink, like, everything. The influence of entertainment and celebrities is just, wow, it's everywhere.
And it goes way beyond politics, right? It affects what we buy, our values, even our own sense of self.
Like we're constantly being bombarded with messages from celebrities and influencers.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. It makes you wonder how we even form our own opinions anymore.
It's a valid question, especially in a world that's so saturated with media.
So, like, where do we go from here? How do we develop a sense of, like, critical thinking? How do we make sure we're not just following the crowd?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Well,
It is a big question. Yeah, it can feel overwhelming. Like, how do we even start to filter all this stuff?
Right. It's a constant battle.
It is. But I think, you know, one way to start is by really working on our media literacy.
Media literacy, what's that?
It's basically being able to, like, critically analyze any message you're getting, no matter where it's coming from.
So not just watching something or reading something and just accepting it.
Right. It's about dissecting it, figuring out what's behind it, what the agenda might be.
Okay, so, like, I'm watching a commercial, for example. I shouldn't just be like, oh, I want that product.
Exactly. Ask yourself, like, who made this? What are they trying to get me to do? Is there information they're leaving out?
It's about being more critical, like you said.
Yeah. It's about looking deeper, not just taking things at face value.
I can see how that's super important, especially with all the, like, subtle ways we're being influenced these days.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
It feels like a way to take back some control, you know?
It totally is. It's about not letting yourself be manipulated by, like, you know, all that clever marketing and PR.
And there's a lot of that out there.
Tons. Think about those quizzes you see on social media, the ones that are like, what kind of pizza are you?
Oh, I love those.
They seem harmless, right?
Yeah.
But they're collecting data about you, which can then be used to target you with ads.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they're figuring out your preferences, your interests, and then using that to influence you.
It's kind of messed up.
It can be. It's definitely a bit sneaky. But it highlights why media literacy is so important.
We got to be more aware of what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. We need to educate ourselves and be smarter consumers of information.
So it's not just about being passive and letting all this stuff wash over us.
No, we can make choices. We can limit our exposure to certain things, be careful about who we follow online,
And have conversations that challenge our own beliefs.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and thoughtful.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's made me realize, how much I need to step up my game when it comes to all this.
Well, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Yeah. They challenge us to think differently.
To question our assumptions and see the world in new ways.
So, as we wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I think it's this. Pay attention to the power that entertainment and celebrity have, not just in politics, but in everything.
It's everywhere.
It really is. And learn how to be more media literate. It'll help you navigate this crazy world.
And remember, you have the power to decide what influences you, right?
Absolutely. Don't just go with the flow. Be intentional about it.
I love that. Be intentional. Great advice. So to everyone listening, keep thinking about this stuff. Keep questioning things.
And keep learning.
Exactly. Keep driving deep. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.